Hi everybody, I just wanted to put a little video out there on design generations in gear. And so what you see before you is you see sort of the three design generations in Leatherman gear. So you have here, this is the original Leatherman, this is the PST. I've had this thing for over 20 years and it is in fantastic shape. The other thing is, it is like buttery smooth. But look, I mean, it's been used quite a bit and there's some, scratches and scrapes here and there. Some dings, but the pliers are still really nice, and the tool works great. But as you can see, this does not have any external features other than a stupid ruler. There are no externally accessible tools, and so if you want to use this multi-tool, no matter what you do, you got to open this thing up. Even if you want to just use the knife blade, which is probably the most commonly used thing, you can see that the knife blade is, pretty nice. Mild clip point blade, but watch this. This is really stupid. Ready for this? Yeah. So good luck cutting stuff. You got like basically that much usable blade length unless you're like doing a pull cut with like rope or something. So really stupid design, right? Well, this is the Generation 2 design, and this is actually the TTI and the Charge TTI. And so as you can see, not only is the knife blade externally accessible, but you can actually use it, which is a good thing. A lot of other features here, unlike this knife, which doesn't really lock, the Charge TTI has a locking blade. It has a bunch of other features, but really it's the fact that the tools are externally accessible that makes this thing significantly different than this thing. And this is really sort of, what you get with 20 years of evolution. And then you come to this, which I think is probably the best multi-tool that Leatherman makes, and it's the Skeletal CX. And the Skeletal CX is not that much different than the Skeletal. And the CX is just aesthetic carbon fiber. The weight is the same. But here, not only do we have externally accessible tools, like the really great knife blade, which is also found on the KB, but we have a completely asymmetric design. And I think that that's important for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it does provide better ergonomics, makes this much less of a concession in pliers form, although, God, are these terrible pliers. They need to be long and pointy. I like the pliers on this guy because they're really pointy. Look at those. But, what are you going to do? If they were a little bit pointier, there'd be no reason for me to own any other Leatherman multi-tool. The other thing that having the asymmetric handle does is it gives you the ability to have different kinds of tools. Like this would not be possible. The lanyard clip and bottle opener would not be possible if the tool was symmetrically designed. And so you do get a lot of stuff in the Leatherman Skeletal because of its asymmetry. But that's not the only place where there's generations of design. I think that it's also important to look at something like Spyderco. And so what you have here is two knives that are made the same year, but one of them is sort of emblematic of the older designs in Spyderco, and one is emblematic of the newer designs. So this is the Spyderco Alcyon, which is a really great knife, by the way. It is one of the best budget Spydercos. In fact, it's probably the best budget Spyderco. And then here you have a really great mid-priced Spyderco, which is the Spyderco Chaparral and FRN. And so let's take a look at what we've got here. And let's just set aside the steel, because they're both CTS steels. This one is XHP and this is BD1. But let's just take a look. And by the way, that's JB Weld. I was fixing a toy, so don't put anything you want in the comment section. So let's take a look at the knives and talk about why I contend that this one is from a different design generation, this one. So the first thing is you can tell that this one has a big giant lanyard hole. I think that Spyderco has decided that, lanyard holes are not 100% essential, which is a good thing because I don't think they are. But as you can see, this one has a lanyard hole and this one doesn't. Another thing that's really interesting is the hump here is nowhere near as prominent as it is here. And this knife is more like the Delica 4 generation of knives, and this is the generation after. You can see that the Alcyon has the spoon style pocket clip. It also has the old 3-point attachment that was like on the Salt series, and that means that you can get the lanyard hole through the pocket clip, which, I mean, if you're gonna have the real estate for a lanyard hole, you may as well make it useful by doing something like that. I think that's a really good idea, though quite frankly I don't think you need it, and I'd much rather have the wire pocket clip. It's just a better pocket clip. It's like, look at it. That's how much you're going to see of the Alcyon. And that's how much you're going to see of the Chaparral. This is the one you want in your pocket clip. The other thing is, this knife, like the Delica, like the Endura, and like a bunch of other knives, it's pretty thick. It's not super thick blade stock, but you can see the Delica and that generation of knives, they just had these really thick blade stocks compared to the Chaparral, which has some of the thinnest blade stock, but I've noticed that they're all pretty thin, or they're getting thin, which is good because this is a great slicer. The other thing is, none of the knives in like the Endura 4 and the Delica 4 generation, the Tenacious, those kind of knives, none of them had a pocket or a finger choil. And I think that Spyderco is rapidly moving towards a lineup where basically every knife except some kind of specialized knife had a pocket choil. And so I think it's interesting to look at the design and see how they've changed over the years. And Spyderco has gone through evolution, and Leatherman has gone through an evolution, and all of that is good for us, the consumer. So there you go.